Welcome to the Heavy Spoilers Show. I'm your host Deffinition, aka your friendly neighbourhood spoiler man, and Marvel fans must feel like they're in a Mysterio illusion this week, with Tom Holland pretty much being Schrodinger's Spider. We don't know if he's in or if he's out of the MCU, but it looks like negotiations are still ongoing with this new report that comes directly from comicbook.com. Tom Holland appeared at Keystone Comic-Con on Sunday to an audience of 2,000 people, and beforehand attendees were told not to ask any Spider-Man questions because it may mess up contract discussions that are announced in the next few days. This comes directly from panel attendee PC Ters, who said the following: "Guys, they just told us we can't ask questions about the whole Sony Marvel thing, so we don't mess up any contract discussions that will be announced within the next few days." Holland then went on to do a 45-minute panel in which he said the following.
You know, it's not the end of me playing Spider-Man. There's definitely more to come. I sat down with some of our creatives and we pitched Spider-Man 3, which is going to be something very special, something very different. You know, I'm just so grateful that Marvel changed my life and allowed my dreams to come true. And Sony are allowing me to continue living my dream. So, you know, it's crazy. We'll see how it goes, and it'll be as amazing as fun.
Okay, so this seems pretty strange, as the audience were told they weren't allowed to talk about it, and yet Holland's on stage divulging information about Spider-Man 3 and so on. The Twitter user was later asked by website The Inquirer to clarify her statements, and she said the following: "It was kind of odd to be told not to ask about it, but then have them ask it in the interview. The answer he gave was so scripted. I think they're still working on it. It was almost literally word for word what he said at D23. This I completely agree with, and the main reason that I didn't cover the Keystone comments is because it was pretty much word for word what was said at D23 and just seemed like a repeat of the story. However, most news stories are reporting that Holland is 100% out of the MCU, which I actually find quite strange, and do think that no one seems to have picked up on the key point of this entire thing. At no point during any interview that I've seen has anyone ever mentioned the MCU once. Whilst they have said that Disney and Sony are no longer working together, and yet that's pretty much everywhere, I completely agree that they've split. They have not actually stated that the films will be disconnected, and that there is no way that Spider-Man can mention any of the prior events or discuss the characters. These reports always seemed a little weird to me, as I think that even if Sony and Disney did decide to part ways, there isn't really anything to stop Spider-Man mentioning Tony Stark or the other characters. Some might say that this would cause legal issues, but I highly doubt it. There's a very famous scene from the original Spider-Man Sam Raimi film in which Aunt May mentions Superman, who is of course owned by DC, and there are umpteen scenes from the Arrowverse that discuss heroes from the Marvel Universe, even though they are part of DC properties. I think even if Disney and Sony do split, that the films will still remain, at least in some ways, able to be connected to the MCU. There's not really anything to stop Sony from mentioning the characters that feature in the Marvel Universe, and they've even brought aboard the writers from Homecoming and Far From Home to work on Spider-Man 3. Just because Kevin Feige isn't a producer doesn't mean that it's not connected to the MCU, and as we saw in the Netflix shows in which he wasn't really involved, his name missing doesn't mean that things are unconnected. I personally do believe that negotiations are still ongoing, as we've not had an official statement from Disney or Sony saying that it's all over. The closest thing that there's been to this was the interview with Kevin Feige for EW.com, in which he said that he knew that they had Spider-Man for a finite amount of time, but even then doesn't say it's all over, negotiations failed, he's out of the MCU. If you go back and watch those interviews from a PR standpoint, then they seem pretty scripted and neither really mention the collapse of negotiations or what percentages etc were part of the contracts. In addition to this, comicbook.com have just posted within the last hour that Tom Holland says that the Peter and Tony scene in Spider-Man Homecoming is a pivotal moment for the two films we've made and the one we're making, which definitely confirms to me that Spider-Man will still somehow be connected to the MCU. At the moment, I don't think that anyone can 100% say that Spider-Man is fully out of the MCU until we have an official statement from Disney or Sony, and the fact that Keystone Comic-Con audience members were asked not to say anything in case they mess up contract negotiations definitely gives this theory a lot more weight. I may be wrong, and hey, I have been in the past, let's not forget, but I'm still of the thinking that both corporations are too smart to fully confirm that Spider-Man is out of the MCU due to the damage that it will do to both franchises. Obviously, I'd love to hear your thoughts on this entire thing. Do you agree with me, or am I just trapped in one of Mysterio's illusions, refusing to see the truth? Comment below and let me know, and if you enjoyed this video then please give it a thumbs up and make sure you check out my full breakdown of Tom Holland and Kevin Feige's statements from D23, which will be linked at the end. I'll also leave my sources in the description if you want to read up on them, as I know in the last couple of videos people have been asking for them, so yeah, they'll all be there. If you want to come talk to me about movies, TV shows, games and comic books, then you can follow me on Twitter at DeffinitionYT. It's the best way to get in touch with me and is the perfect place to suggest new videos and content, so hopefully I see you over there after this. Also just want to let you know that we're giving away a free copy of John Wick 3 on Blu-ray, and all you have to do to be in with a chance of winning is to like this video, make sure that you subscribe to the channel and leave your thoughts on the Spider-Man news in the comment section below. The winner will be chosen at random on September the 10th and the Blu-ray will be shipped out from then to whoever gets the prize, so best of luck to everyone who takes part. This is a channel for people who are super into superheroes, so if that's the kind of thing you like, hit subscribe. Thanks again for taking the time to watch this. I've been Deffinition, you've been the best, and I'll see you next time. Take care, peace.